You won't believe these Dollar Tree home decor DIYs. Every single one looks far more expensive than it actually is. Today, I am sharing 10 of my most loved Dollar Tree home decor DIYs, the projects you watched, saved, and loved the most. Hi, I'm Loli. Let's create something beautiful and find a little joy along the way.
This piece was inspired by this piece that I found online for $119 at this website. I'm going to create something very similar for a fraction of the cost. I'll be using this wood round from Dollar Tree and removing the hanger off of it and painting it with 2 coats of chiffon cream from Rust-Oleum. I got some of the paint on the edges. This is a quick way you can fix that very easily. I just took a cleaning wipe from Dollar Tree and then just wipe off the chalk paint right off of all of the edges. Quick and easy. Alright, then we're going to take this other wood round that we got from Dollar Tree. I love this because it's like a family tree. And I'm going to paint the inside of it with some watered down chiffon cream. I just added some to that corner there while I added some water as well. And then using my brush, I worked that paint into all of the background of this tree. I'm not worrying about the tree right now. I'm trying to get in between those nooks and crannies to cover up the background. And here I didn't like how opaque it was, so I just sprayed some water on it and wiped off any excess paint using a small wipe. Then I took some burnt umber and we're going to paint the tree with it. I started with a brush first. I was trying to be optimistic, but you know what, it was taking forever. So I decided to move on to a sponge instead. What I did is just go ahead and add the sponge onto my paint, making sure that it's covered all of that bottom section of it, and then bounced up and down until I had all of that tree completely covered. You could stop right here, but you know me already. I'm going to go ahead and distress this, and I'm going to take some of the same chiffon cream to do that. I'm just going to dry brush it over the entire piece because I want to achieve that look of the piece that I showed you in the beginning. So I just started very lightly here and then built it over time until I got to the shade of distress that I was expecting to have. And you'll see here my process as I kept going until I loved what I saw. So in this case, do what you like. Now we're going to add this to our wood round right there at the center, and to add it to it, we will be using a combination of Tide Bond and hot glue to do that. Friend, if you enjoyed this video so far, go ahead and hit that like button, and please let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love to know how far my videos are reaching, and share this video with someone who will enjoy just as much as you do, because sharing is caring and it helps my channel grow. Thank you so much. And now that this is done, we are going to work with this other piece from Dollar Tree, painting it with 1 coat of burnt amber from Waverly, and distress it as well using the same process that we used with the chiffon cream. Look how cute that turned out. Alright, let's add this over now to our wood round, but first we're going to cover up those holes. Usually I do that before, but I totally forgot, I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to take some of that spackle from Dollar Tree and fill in those holes, wait a few minutes for it to kind of dry, sand it off, and paint it with some more chiffon cream. Now we are able to attach the wood round to this, or I should say the wood frame, or MDF frame. And to do that, I'm going to use a combination of Tide Bond and hot glue. The Tide Bond is for long-term hold, and the hot glue is just to hold it in place until that other glue dries. As you see here, I am making sure that everything is even before I add that hot glue. I'm just clipping it, making sure that I have everything situated and that it fits perfectly. And once I'm happy with it, then I'm coming in with that hot glue in those other areas. And this is what I like about the Tide Bond. It dries in 15 minutes, but it gives you a few minutes for you to play around to make sure that everything is in place before you commit. Once you put in that hot glue, that dries a lot quicker, but here I was pretty good. So we put in some pressure, making sure that that holds. And to make sure that it does, I'm going to go ahead and use a few, I should say, of these pink clips from Dollar Tree to hold them in place until it dries. Meanwhile, we're going to create a hanger using some of these beads that I got from a garland at Dollar Tree. And we are going to go ahead and add 2 knots on each side of this jute cord cut off the excess cord, and then we're going to glue it to the back here. And I did not want to use the holes that this came with to use as a hanger because I did not want them to show in the front of this piece. Once I added that hot glue there, I'm taking a piece of ribbon and putting it over the hot glue just to provide a little bit more stability to this and make sure that it doesn't come apart. And then I added extra hot glue on the other pieces as well on each side. And what I did to this side, I also did to the other, and this just gives me the best hold. And that is it for this one. Let me know what you think.
For this project, I'll be using one of these long charger plates from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to take some of my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint and paint the inside portion of this. I'm using a very small brush, using very little paint, just to make sure that I do not add. All right, once the bottom was completely covered and dry, we're going to go ahead and flip this over and remove that tag. I took some of these salt pepper shakers that I got from Dollar Tree. We're going to use 4 of them. I remove the cover off of each, and I'm going to add them to the 4 corners of the square section here at the bottom of the charger. And to adhere it, I will be using hot glue. You can use E6000 to give it more of a permanent hold. I'm just using the hot glue for video purposes. I am looking for a glue that has the same hold as E6000 but a shorter drying time. So if you have any suggestions on what I can use, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much. All right, then we're going to stand this up and we're going to embellish it with this beautiful peel and stick that I just got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to add a thin layer of Mod Podge on the entire white section of this charger. Again, being very careful to not get any of that Mod Podge on the edges because I do want to continue to have that gloss finish. And I'm going to let it, I'm not going to let it sit actually. I'm just going to measure exactly how much of this peel and stick I'm going to need. And I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess, remove that peel and stick from the side. Make sure to use one of the edges or the straightest of the edges to line it up and make sure that everything is straight. This part is very important, so take your time because if you start crooked, you're going to end up crooked. So we want to be a little bit straight here. We want to be perfectly straight here. So I go ahead and added that, adding it on as I pull the cover out and removing the bubbles. And this came out so beautiful. I just wish I would have centered it a little bit better. You had a little bit of space there, but that is still so cute. I love this piece. You let me know in the comment sections. What do you think about this one? I found these beautiful brass birds in the Pottery Barn website for $130. We are going to create a couple of them for a fraction of the cost. I'm using these birds that I got from Dollar Tree. They're 2 different kinds. I got them, I think, sometime last year. And the first thing I'm going to do is remove the tags from the bottom of both. And I made a mixture of some black, full rich black paint, chalk paint, and some baking soda. And I smeared it on my bird and then began stippling it so I will have a finish that looks kind of like iron. And I set them aside to dry. When I was done, this is the beautiful finish that I ended up with. You can see here, well, not as good as I hope that you could, the beautiful texture that almost looks like it's cast iron. Then I just painted it with some of my Krylon gold paint with a dry brushing effect. And this is what they look like after 3 coats of dry brushing. And this color is a little bit different than the one in the photo, but this is the beauty about DIYing. You can make your pieces fit your decor. The originals were brass, mine are gold. Let me know what you think. For this project, I'll be using one of these glass vases from Dollar Tree and some jute twine. I'm going to start at the bottom by adding a little bit of hot glue to the bottom of the vase. And then I'll be adding the jute cord to it, holding it in place until it dries. And I'm going to continue to do this until I go all the way around the base of the vase. And from there, I'm going to start just wrapping the jute cord very close to the previous revolution, going very carefully, making sure that the jute cord is taut and that everything is being nice and neat. And I did that until I got about a third up of the vase. At this point, I started adding hot glue to every time that I went around with the jute cord, because since it's getting tapered at this point, the jute cord was beginning to separate. And to avoid doing that, just keep adding hot glue until I got to all the way, almost halfway up. And then I removed the excess jute cord and added a little bit of hot glue to that portion and make sure that it was stuck down nice and neat. Then I took my lighter and I am cinching all of the jute cord so I have that nice clean look, and at the same time I love that look of the cinching of the jute. Then I took one of these little sauce containers from Dollar Tree and I removed the sticker at the bottom of the vase, and I'm going to add a combination of E6000 and hot glue to these pieces. I added the E6000 to the bottom of the vase, and I'm going to add a bead of hot glue to the rim at the bottom of that small sauce container. And then I'm going to place it at the bottom of the vase. And this is what it's looking like so far. Let me know what you think so far, but I'm not done yet. Next, I took one of these flowers from the Dollar Tree and I glued it to the middle of the jute cord, just using some hot glue. It looked cute to me, but I thought I needed a little something more. So I took some of these small pearls that I got from Dollar Tree and I'm going to add them to the flower. I'm going to take the tiniest amount of hot glue and add it onto the petals, the middle of the burlap petals on each one of this middle flower. And I'm going to add a small pearl to each one. And I did it with each one of the petals. I feel that this gave it the perfect look. Look how cute this looks. And let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this piece? For this project, I'll be using one of these rectangular chargers from Dollar Tree. I'm going to leave the front as it is, and then I'm going to take one of these gift bags. This is one of the wine bags that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm removing that cord from there, and I'm going to cut off one of the front sections for this. I'm going to choose to do the very front of it because that one has no folds. And using the creases of the folds of this paper, I'm going to be cutting as straight as I can until I remove that complete section. Then I took that piece and I placed it at the bottom of the tray, and I'm creating indentations on all the edges so I have a guide on where I need to cut to remove the excess. And then I'm going to just trim it off using those indentations as guide. My friend, if you can please leave me in the comment section a comment letting me know where you're watching from. I love to know how far my videos are reaching. Thank you so much. All right, so now everything fits nicely. So I'm going to take some of this Tide Bond Thick and Quick, and I'm going to add it to the perimeter of the bottom of the tray and also all along the middle as well. And then I'm going to position the paper right on top of it, making sure that everything lines up perfectly. Here I'm going to use my hands and my Cricut tool to make sure that everything is adhered correctly and all of the surface is nice and flat and that the paper is adhered in every square inch properly. And using a wipe, I will be removing any glue that seeps through the sides as I'm doing this. I wanted to make sure that nothing lifted, so I concentrated a lot of the efforts on the edges as well. Here I'm removing any bubbles that are present, making sure to go in one direction towards the edges to bring over the glue onto all of the bottom sections. You'll see some areas in which some of the glue seeped out. I cleaned it really quickly with a wet wipe just to ensure that that did not interfere with the finish of the charger. Now we're going to flip it over, remove that tag, and I'm going to take 4 of these little square wood pieces that I got from Temu. They were a little bit bigger than the ones that we can find at Dollar Tree. And I am gluing each one to the corners of the charger using a combination of Tide Bond, Quick and Thick, and hot glue. If I was not in a hurry, I will just use the Tide Bond Quick and Thick, putting something else on top of these and position something heavy over it and leave it overnight. But I was in a hurry, so I am adding hot glue to this. But you are more than welcome, if you recreate this, to just use the Thick and Quick. Just add like another charger over it or something like that and place something heavy over that. So then I painted the back of this with some gold paint, and that is it for this one. Look how beautiful this piece is. I love it. It just looks so elegant. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this one? For this project, I'll be using this charger plate from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to paint it with 2 coats of Rust-Oleum Denim white chalk paint. Then I took some of this Waverly Antique Wax and this blush brush and used it to apply very small amounts of antique wax on the charger plate. I'm being very gentle, almost like an archaeologist, uncovering some rare artifacts and really being careful not to destroy them. I kept coming over it about 3 times until I got to this desired amount. Then I'm taking some of these napkins that I got from Lady Red Crafted, Miss Katie, and I'm going to cut all of these butterflies out. But I only ended up using 2. But I took each one of them and removed the 2 plies that came behind it. Then I took one of these water pens from Dollar Tree, added some water to it, and I'm going to brush that water on all the edges of the butterfly. I'm going close enough that I will be tearing off the edge, but not so close into the butterfly so I don't risk tearing off the butterfly itself. And then using the edge of my nail, I am just tearing off like a little section all around that butterfly, leaving just small amounts of that other paper going around. But do not throw away that paper that we are tearing off, because we will be using it also for this project. And this is what we ended up with once we were done, and I did that with all 4 of the butterflies. However, I ended up using just 2. I'm positioning them exactly as you see there, and then I'm going to take a small amount of Mod Podge and add it onto my charger plate and brush it on, making sure that it's nice and even and that every little area of that section has Mod Podge on it. And then once it's damp, I'm going to position the bottom section of my butterfly right onto that Mod Podge, and then using the same brush without dipping it in the Mod Podge again, I'm going to lightly brush that on to make sure that the tissue paper or the napkin adheres to all of the curvature of the pattern of the charger, and I did this in small sections until the entire butterfly was adhered. And I repeated the same thing with the second butterfly as well. And I also added a thin amount of Mod Podge on top of the napkin as well to protect it. I find that going in smaller sections, adding this, it just avoids the Mod Podge from drying. It also ensures that we concentrate in small sections, making sure that there's no wrinkles and that every inch is adhered. All right, so I repeated the same process with this other butterfly, making sure that it was properly adhered, just as I did with the previous one. Next, I took this home sign that I got from Dollar Tree. It comes in a packet too, and I'm going to paint it with some Rust-Oleum Denim white chalk paint. I'm only doing the front of it. Then I'm taking the leftover pieces that I took off when I was removing the edges from the butterflies. Now we are going to use it for this section right here. I'm just going to take small pieces and add them onto the front of this home sign, just, putting them over each other in places in which I need to, trying to do pretty much a puzzle until the entire word is completely covered. And once it is adhered, I'm adding also a coat of Mod Podge to the top as well to protect it. And I continued to do this process until the entire word was completely covered. Once the paper was nicely dry, I'm going to take small scissors from Dollar Tree and cut off the excess. In the places in which I couldn't cut off the excess, I will be using a different approach. I'm going to be using the light up method. That's what I call it. I don't know what it's really called. I've seen many channels use it. And it's just when you take a lighter and you burn off the excess paper, and it just happens to burn off in the right places. leaving like a little charted edge as you go along, which just makes this piece look even more rustic. In some areas, it's harder to burn, like areas like right here in the middle of the E, and also in the middle of the O. In those areas, you have to pretty much just put it as you see there. You see how much I burned it in the back. The secret is to split that open and then burn the edges. And in any areas that were just not as clean as you hope, you can always go in with a small nail file and remove the excess. Look how cute this turned out. Now we're going to add it to our charger plate, and we'll be using a combination of our quick and thick from Tide Bond and some hot glue. And I'm using the hot glue only because I want that quick adhesion. Then I position my home sign on a slant. Next, I took this greenery. I got this at Walmart, I believe, and I'm going to use the entire pick. But first, I started with 2 pieces. I'm going to cut 2 pieces there at the base of the stems and then bend them over because I want them to drape on the sides. I wasn't quite happy with how the greenery was looking, so I'm just going to be turning the little pieces of greenery around until I have them all dangling towards the bottom of the charger plate. Then I glue them using some hot glue towards the side of the charger, as you see there. Then I added a nice amount of hot glue over it to secure it, and I held it in place until all the hot glue set. Then I took this ribbon that I got about 2 years ago. I haven't seen it since, from Dollar Tree. At this during the fall season. This is burlap in color red, and I created that awareness bow, cinched it in the middle as you see there, and took another piece of red jute cord and tied that bow right in the center. And then I cut off the rest of the ribbon. The tail here was a little too long. I was hoping to add some of the ribbon on the middle, but then I changed my mind. So here I'm just cutting off so both sides are even, and we are going to glue that bow right in the center of the 2 pieces of greenery. And then we are going to cut the tail of the bows in a slant. My friend, if you enjoyed this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and hit the notification bell so YouTube notifies you each time I upload a new video. All these things are free and they mean the world to me. All right, now we are going to take some more greenery, cut pieces off, and add it onto this. We just needed a little bit more. I just felt like the greenery was a little bit sparse, so I wanted to go ahead and finish it off. For this one, I'm taking 2 pieces of greenery and combining it into one. I'm just adding the greenery from one pick into the other and cutting the base all the way to the bottom of that pick. And then we are going to arrange it at the bottom of this other pick until it looks nice and full. Once I like the positioning of it, I'm going to add a nice dab of hot glue on it and let it dry. Then we place our bowl back down and look how cute that's turning up, but we're not done yet. I need a little something on that bow. So I'm going to take one of these hearts from Dollar Tree, stain it with some Waverly Antique wax, remove that excess stain, and glue it right there to the middle of the bow. And I feel like this gave it the perfect touch. But we are still not done yet. We need a hanger. So I'm using a piece of this garland that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just stain it and make it nice and grungy using some of the Waverly Antique wax. After knotted the ends, we are going to glue this to the back of our charger plate, making sure that that home sign is exactly where we want it, then adding a bit of hot glue going up as you see there, placing that jute cord over it, and then I added some more hot glue over that, and I'm doing the same thing to the other side as well. Next, I took 2 pieces of burlap ribbon that I had laying around, and I'm going to add it over the 2 pieces of jute cord. And I'm pressing down, being very careful not to burn my fingers. And that is it for this one. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this one? I am in love. I used 2 of these new wood pieces from Dollar Tree, and I went ahead and painted it with 1 coat of my apple barrel white acrylic paint. I made sure to add the paint to all the beads as well and all the grooves in between, I also painted the outside little frame and the edges as well. Here you just see me doing the very front and just making sure that my strokes are straight so they have a nice streak look to them. And I'm making sure to get into all the little grooves of the entire piece, and I recreated this with both of them. Once I was done, I'm just going to dry it really quickly with my heat gun. And then we are going to take some of this folk art rich black paint, and I'm going to dry brush it over the beads only. And I repeated the second process on the other one. And then I'm going to dry brush with the same paintbrush on the front. You see right there going on streaks up and down just to distress this a bit. And then I'm going to take two of these hangers that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to remove them off the package, and first I glue them with a bit of hot glue just to hold them in place. I'm just making sure first that my back is nicely done before I put these hooks on. So I'm removing the stickers with some heat. And then once that is done, I'm going to come in and use some of the rich black paint from folk art, and I'm going to paint my back in to give it a nice finished look. When I went to the edges of the project, I'm using strokes towards the edge to avoid any paint going on the sides of my project. I figure that this gives me a little bit more control and everything stays nice and neat. And I repeated the same process with the other one as well. Here they are nice and dry, and we are going to go ahead and make a hanger for these first. So I'm going to take some, I was thinking, and I figured out, let's just do the regular jute cord idea we usually do. So I took a small piece of jute cord, made a knot, but when I made the knot, how you usually put it once through the hole, I looped the piece of jute cord twice through the hole, so my knot will be a little bit thicker. And I did that in two different sections of the jute cord, and then I cut it off. Now we are going to attach it using some hot glue. I just placed hot glue in one side, placed my piece there a little bit above that knot, and then once it was a little bit stable, I added a little bit more hot glue on top of it. And we're going to loop it and do the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to hold this in place until the hot glue sets. And I did the same thing with the other one. I'm going to let them dry. Then once they were dry, I'm going to flip them over, and it's time to attach these in here. So I'm going to attach them first with some hot glue just to keep everything in place. And I'm going to then come in with the screws that came with this piece. And the screws here are measuring to make sure if they are too big, and they were a tad too big, but I still decided to use them. I didn't have any screws any smaller, so I'm just going to use the pointy section of the screw, and I'm going to just drive it with a screwdriver using some pressure. If you like, you can use a drill and pre-drill a hole. That will be making it a lot easier, but for me that was the easiest at this time. And as you see right here, it went through a little bit, but that is fine. Let's go ahead and put the other one in there, and then we are going to take care of the back. Now that both screws are there, we are going to go ahead and take our snips here, and one of them I was able to cut off the pointy section, but I wasn't so lucky for the other ones. So I decided to add hot glue to avoid any scratching or any injury. And this is how they were turning out. I was going for a little bit more of a subtle look, so I came in with some white apple barrel acrylic paint, and I'm just turning down that black a little bit. If you like the black one more, I will just stop at this point, but I was going for a more subtle look, so I'm just going over this just to tone down this and make this be more cohesive with the metal piece. I repeated the same process with the other one, and that is it for this one. Let me know what you think. Look at these guys. Let me know how you like them. I love them. Which one is your favorite? You know, I always want to know. So make sure that you let me know in the comments. For this project, I'm using one of these canvases that I got from Dollar Tree and a pizza pen. And I'm going to remove all the staples that come in the back of that canvas sign. I'm going to completely remove the canvas so I can use it for my project. I will be using both things, the frame and the canvas. First, I took this Concord grape from Apple Barrel and I painted my frame with it. Then I took lilac mist from Apple Barrel and I'm going to use it to dry brush on the entire frame to give this a little bit more dimension and give it a more rustic look as well. And this is what I ended up with. I love that effect. Look how cute that is. So once that paint dry, I'm going to take my frame and we're going to add it to the canvas. And I'm going to use some hot glue to attach it together. So now we're going to be doing a reverse canvas. Then I'm going to use my little healing mat from Dollar Tree and my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to remove all that excess canvas from the outside of the frame. Just be very careful doing this step that you do not cut that MDF board that this frame is made of. Then I painted the pizza pan with chiffon cream from Rust-Oleum. I ended up giving it a total of 3 coats. Then I'm going to add this frame to the pizza pan. And I allowed the edges to make marks onto the paint so I knew exactly where to add my glue. So I just added my glue onto those places that the frame will be touching the pizza pan, and I repositioned it in place and held it there until it was completely set. Now I'm taking some of this rope from Dollar Tree and I'm going to measure how much I'll need to go around the entire pizza pan. I'm going to burn off the fuzzies so I don't have to do it later. Then I'm going to start gluing this onto the pan, starting at the very top, making sure that my ends are very flat once I cut that rope. And I'm going to add hot glue all along and add this rope to the entire border of the pizza pan. Now that I got to the top, I'm just going to remove this tape from the edge of the rope. And now we're going to cut that little excess that we have so we have a nice flush finish here. Just make sure to add a little bit of hot glue on the inside of that rope, hold it together in place, and then add hot glue in the entire piece, including that other piece that was opposite, and glue it in place. Now I'm taking some of this ribbon that I got from Dollar Tree. This is part of the bee collection that they have. And I'm going to create a 2-loop bow using this. So if you see right here, I'm just looping the ribbon and meandering in different directions, making sure there that my tails are the length that I want them. And then I'm just going to crisscross into one end. Then I'm going to cross it under that loop that I just made. And I'm going to bring it over to create another loop. And I'm going to do the same thing going on the opposite way. And this is going to allow me to have 2 loops in each side, and the tails will remain opposite to each other. Once I'm happy with the length of my tail, I'm going to cut that excess ribbon off. And I'm just going to gather the middle, just squishing it and walking my fingers through until they have a nice cinch edge and that my loops look nice and neat as well. Then I did the same thing with another ribbon, but I'm just going to, do the meandering only once to create 1 loop and 2 tails. 1 loops at the top and the tails. Then I'm going to add both of these ribbons, both of these bows together. I'm just going to tie them in place using some jute cord. Now I'm just going to cut that excess piece of ribbon off that tail, making sure that both tails are nice and even. And I'm going to use that piece that I cut off to create a little piece to cover that middle jute. So I just rolled it onto each other, making sure that the edges of the ribbon are inside right to the center. And since this is wire ribbon, it was quite easy. And then I'm just going to wrap that around that bow and stick it using some hot glue. ear remeasuring to make sure that that's the perfect size, and it is. So I'm going to put that bow to the side, and I'm going to take some of these florals that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm just removing the little pieces, as you see there, of the stems, and I'm going to glue them to the top of my wood round, or my pizza pan round in this case. And I'm gluing actually two pieces on each side using some hot glue. Now it's time to attach the bow to the top, so I'm just going to do that using a generous amount of hot glue. The center of the bowl looked kind of bare, so I decided to add this flower to the center. I cut off the little piece that the stem goes in, and then I added some hot glue to that bottom piece and glued it to the flower so it wouldn't fall apart. I decided to use this flower because I thought it looked just like the one in the pictures. I had some of this leftover fern that I used for different projects, and I went to add it in between the florals just to break up all the purple and make this look fuller. I added 3 leaves of fern to both sides. My friends, if you enjoyed this video so far, don't forget to leave me a big thumbs up. And if you're so inclined, please make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell so YouTube notifies you each time that I upload a new video. All these things are free and they mean the world to me. So apparently I couldn't wait to put the hanger on. So I took this beaded garland from Dollar Tree and I painted a section using this Mystic Lilac, yes, from Apple Barrel. And I'm going to paint my beads using that and a chip brush. Then I cut off the section that I needed. I put a knot on each side of the jute cords. And then I'm going to use that to add to my pizza pan. I just added my jute cord, as you see right there, added some more hot glue on there, and hot glue and this don't like each other, hot glue and metal. So I took some masking tape and added it at the top of my hot glue as my hot glue was still hot, and this creates a lot stronger bond between the two materials. And now we're back to the fern. So I'm going to add 2 more pieces of fern on each side on here. I just kept showing this to my husband, and he was like, what's up with all the purple? So I said, you know what, we got to break it up a little bit more. So I added some more of that fern just to, take away a little bit from all that purple. And I did the same exact thing with the other side. This is looking so cute, but I needed more. So I'm going to add another shade of purple by using these flowers that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to add one little speck in between the ferns there just to break that up a little bit more and give this even more texture. I love how this piece turned out. Leave me a comment and let me know how you like it. For this one, I'm using one of these wood rounds from Dollar Tree. And the first thing that I'm going to do is remove that hanger off of it and remove that tag as well. And I'm painting it with 2 coats of my Rack& Decker paint and primer mixed with some plaster of Paris. I took one of these chunky pieces from Dollar Tree and I painted it using the same paint. This is brand new this year from Dollar Tree. And this is how they're looking so far. So here, guys, I was supposed to be decoupaging my bunny first, but for some reason I decided that I needed to glue these 2 pieces together. So I glued them with a combination of hot glue and wood glue. But, that's not going to be taken apart so I can do my decoupaging first. But I just wanted to let you know that, yes, we get very excited, our crafters out here too, and make mistakes. So, be graceful with yourself. All right, so I took it apart, and here I'm going to add some Mod Podge to the front of my bunny. I'm going to make sure that I do it's a thin coat, but not like that's going to dry too quickly, because I am going to be adding that tissue paper that I got from Dollar Tree onto the front of my bunny, but I don't want it to be soaking wet so it will wrinkle a lot. I want it to be tacky so I'm able to smooth it on and everything molds nicely to the surface. I start tacking it down from the bottom and I keep working my way up, making sure that everything is nice and smooth as I'm going along. And I'm also paying close attention to all the edges to make sure that that is also adhered very nicely. Then I'm coming back in using a bowl of saran wrap, just rubbing it around and removing any wrinkles that did form while I was putting it in. Then I'm just removing some of that excess tissue paper, just using my scissors. And then I'm going to come in and add a layer of Mod Podge on the top of my bunny to make sure that it's nicely protective and adhere as well. And once that dries, I'm going to take my nail file and file away all the paper that is left on the edges. And this is how my bunny is looking so far. Now we're going to go ahead and adhere it back onto that round. I'm going to use the same combination of wood glue and hot glue. And I made sure to wipe off any excess glue that oozed from the sides. And look how cute this is turning out. Then I'm going to use some of this greenery that I got from Dollar Tree. So the first thing that I did was go ahead and remove some of the pieces off of it. And I'm going to glue it on different sections in the front of the bunny. So I'm just trying to space them out. Some pieces I glued whole and some pieces I cut in half and turned into 2 separate little bushes to give some variety and texture to this piece. So I'm just going to glue the base of each one of the pieces down onto the front of the wood round. Here you'll see in a second how I cut one of the pieces in half. So here I'm just waiting for that hot glue to dry. And in the meantime, I'm cutting this piece onto 2 separate little plants. So I'm just using the hot glue that's already oozing from the one that I have on there and putting a piece towards the side of it. And then I'm going to continue doing this until the entire front of the bunny has some of this. But I'm leaving spaces in between because this is not the only greenery that I'll be using. And here you can see when I have a few of them put on. Wait, see how cute that looks already? I'm just leaving some room in there. The secret here is to have the patience to wait for the hot glue to set. Now I'm going to use this pick that I got from Dollar Tree. It looks like little tiny flowers. And I'm going to glue them in between each one of these greenery right here. And I'm sorry that you're not able to see the front fully, but you're able to see what I'm doing onto that wood round. And I just added it in places in which I felt like I needed to add something else to fill it in. And I kept alternating between the 2 greeneries, filling in with the pink and these flowers against that paper. Look how cute that's looking, guys. I am loving these. I got them. I don't even know when I got them. I know I got them at Dollar Tree, but no idea when. So, I'm just filling it in until it looks happy and happy. How are you liking this so far? I like it, but I need some more depth. So I took some of this brown oxide from Apple Barrel with a small paintbrush And I'm just going to go ahead and distress or outline the entire silhouette of the bunny and also of the wood round, just to give this more depth and a little bit more that distress, farmhouse look that I love. And don't forget to let me know what you think. Filming this, I thought that this bunny needed a little bow, so here it is without the bow. And in the next take, you will see it with the bow. Let me know which one of it will you prefer, with or without the bow. This is also a new product. And look how beautiful those little cutouts are. I'm going to paint it with my celery from Waverly, and this is what it's looking like so far. And then I'm going to take 4 beads out of this puzzle that I got from the toy section at Dollar Tree. I'm going to choose 4 of the dark brown ones. And I'm going to glue them to the bottom of my little crate using a combination of wood glue and hot glue. And here each of them have 2 sections in which they have little holes. So I made sure to use one of the sections that had a hole to glue this down so it wouldn't show. And then the other hole I put it to was the inside of the crate, so it also will not be as noticeable. And I repeated this process with all 4 of the legs. And now that our crate is ready, I'm going to take one of these bunnies that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to stain it using my Waverly Antique Wax and a baby wipe. Then using some Black & Decker paint and primer, I painted the tail and the raised sections of the ears. Once it was dry, I'm going to take some wood glue and some hot glue and attach the crate onto the bunny. Then I'm adding some floral foam to the crate. Now it's time to cover the floral foam with some floral moss. And then give it a quick haircut. Now it's time to add some carrots to this. I'm going to use this carrot garland that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to remove both the stem in the top and the jute cord from in the bottom. And I'm going to replace the stem using some boxwood that I got from Walmart. I made a total of 4 carrots doing this. Now we're going to glue the carrots onto the floral moss. As you see right there, I'm just going to make sure that once I hit the hot glue, I just hold it in place. I want this to be in a slanted way and I don't want it to fall over. So I'm holding the carrots until they're completely set onto the floral moss. Once I created these 3 right here, I'm going to come in with some greenery that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to use the same one I used for the previous DIY. And we are going to position it in different sections around the carrots. Then I took some of this floral from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut it into small stems and add it to this planter as well in those places in which I have most of the floral moss still showing. I wanted to add some more orange to the front, so I'm going to glue the last carrot to the very front right here, making sure that it's in between all the other florals and it's just blending nicely. Look how cute that's looking. But I'm not done yet. We're going to finish it off with a cute little bow at the neck of the bunny, and then now we are done. Don't forget to let me know, what do you think about this one? I love it. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, here are a couple more videos you are sure to enjoy. Thank you so much for stopping by. You're amazing. Bye.